Yo, what's going on guys, and welcome to the results of 100 Logbooks test. And this test is probably going to be my last test of the league, since the new league is just around the corner and there is a lot of preparations I have to do for it, so I expect a lot of league start preparation videos and so on in the next 2 weeks. So let's jump straight into it. So first thing, let's talk a little bit about the logbooks itself. So there are a few different things that you need to know about the types of logbooks. So first thing is the actual encounter type. So as you can see here, the top one has the Black Scythe Mercenaries, middle one has the Druids, and the bottom one has also Black Scythe. So when you put it in Dunning, you can choose which encounter you want to go to, so which zone, and different zones will have a different type of encounter. So they will give you the different rewards. So again, from Black Scythe you will get 2 yen rewards, and from the Druids of Broken Circle, I believe that's, yes, that's the Gwennen rewards. So the ones that have Knights of the Sun usually go for around 0.6 exalts. The ones that have Black Scythe go for around 0.4, and either Druids or Order of the Chalice go for around like 0.3. So, and they are not really worth that much. So what I did is I wanted to test not only how much money you can get just from logbooks, but also how different are the different encounters in terms of rewards. So I did 33 Knights of the Sun, 33 Black Scythe, and 34, just so I can make a round number of 40, of 100. 34 of either Druids or Order. I didn't really care about which one, both of them are kind of the same value. The second important thing about the logbook is the zone itself. So Dried Riverbed, Bluffs, and Volcanic Island in this case. So they will dictate which kind of remnants you can find inside of the map. Not all of them, like most of the normal remnants you can still find, and all of the rewards. It's just there are some few special remnants that you can find in only certain layouts. So for example, Dried Riverbed will give you enchant items and Legion Splinters remnant. Volcanic Island would give you fossils and currency shards. So in this case I would go for Black Scythe because this one is better, but now I have to decide between Dried Riverbed and Volcanic Island. And Volcanic Island has the better rewards, so again fossils and currency shards instead of enchant items and Legion Splinters, but Dried Riverbed overall in my opinion has the better layout, because it's just some layouts are annoying to deal with, like sometimes you just don't have a lot of monster markers and chest markers in certain layouts. Some of them have dead ends, which are also really annoying to deal with, so Dried Riverbed is actually very good. Volcanic Island is also decent, don't get me wrong, but I think for this one I would go for Dried Riverbed. And the last thing is the implicit. So you can see some of them have different ones. So the top one have increased quantity of artifacts, and remnants have a chance for additional suffix. And the bottom one have increased explosive placement range, and area contains increased number of remnants. You can also roll them to increase the roll with Blessed Orb. So if I go for the top one, I would want to roll for something like this, 39 and 35. That's pretty nice. You don't really care about the other one because you're only gonna go for one map anyway. So some of them are also better than the other. If you have similar layouts for different zones, you can go for the one with better implicit. So I would say the best one is probably the quantity of artifacts. The second best one would be explosive placement range. That can actually help a lot. And number of remnants and size of the explosion are also pretty good one. The other ones, I mean, to be honest, all of them are pretty good. It's just some of them are a little better than the other. And the last thing I was doing when I was doing the logbook is I was using the alchemy, and I was going for pretty decent ones, because items quantity also affects the drop obviously, but you don't want to make them too hard. And this one has elemental resist and minus max res, which is decently hard, but it's not too hard, so I will actually go for it, and I will not reroll it. So let me now show you the example of one logbook. So again, I will go for dried riverbed with black scythe, and it's this one, so let's go for it. So the logbooks are actually pretty time consuming, so there are a few stages. So first stage would be to look around and check for the quantity of artifact drops by monsters. This is probably the best white part of the mod, so suffix, and this is prefix. So quantity of artifacts is probably the best one, but what you want to do is you want to look for the runic monsters are duplicated as a prefix. This is the best possible outcome. So again, this is the special remnant, so runic monsters drop additional enchant item. This is pretty bad one, so I would not go for it, and it's specific to this zone. So here, as you can see, I have 2 suffixes because there is a mod 35% chance for additional suffix. Both of them are pretty nice. Pack size is decent, but again, I am looking for runic monsters are duplicated, so I just found it. So that's, I don't really care about anything else. That's the first thing I am going to go for. Here is also a pack size, Legion Splinters. So the first part is just planning your route. So what I'm gonna go for is I'm gonna choose this one, so quantity of artifacts, because it's again pretty good one. And then I'm gonna go straight for the runic monsters are duplicated. So let's go like here, so I can hit these 2 things. I still can't reach it, so I will go for the pack size and maybe just these 2 skulls. So let's go like this. Now I can reach it, and at the same time I will go for quantity of artifacts dropped by monsters and pack size. This is actually a really good start. Usually you will not get that nice of a start. And now you pretty much just want to go for mostly just the skulls, because skulls are the runic monsters, so you want to get them duplicated and you want to get as many artifacts as possible. And on your way, just go for additional remnants while you are going for the skulls. So again, this layout is pretty nice because there is actually quite a lot of skulls in it. So here I did hit 2 of them. Here, let's go for another 2. Here is a pretty good, decent remnant, I would say, with 1 skull, so I'm also gonna go for it. Another 2 skulls. And reward chests do not matter as much. Here is quantity of artifacts but found in chests. So this is decent one. It's not the best, but it's still pretty decent. Also here I almost missed. There is a side zone, so you pretty much always want to go for the, and you can, by the way, replace the remnants, the explosive if you want. I pretty much always try to go for the side zones because they can have pretty decent rewards. So let's go here, and now let's go for the schools. Let's go again to the top. Here are 2 pretty nice remnants, so I'm gonna go for it, and there isn't really anything else in this area. Now let's go here. To be honest, there isn't that many schools. Oh, here's a lot, so let's go to that side. And by the way, I have a move only button here, just so I can have my explosive out and I can press T, so I can still move around while I am pressing. I think it is a very helpful thing. So let's go for this remnant and skull. Another one here, and here is a big one. And in terms of dangerous things, at least for my build, I always watch out for the you cannot leech, monster cannot be frozen, because I highly rely on freeze. So for example, this one is pretty bad for me. But it's only 4 explosions left, so I think I am actually gonna go for it. It's not really gonna be that hard at the end. Another dangerous one is monster have a 50% chance to block, and if you go for 2 of them, the monster will have pretty much a block cap. So it's gonna be really hard for you to kill them. And the other one that is really dangerous is monster regen 30% of their life every 4 seconds. So if you stack like too many of them, they will have very high regen. So here is a really good stack of monsters, but unfortunately I don't have many explosives. You could plan your route a bit better, but to be honest, it's just too time consuming to just go back, setting up perfect route. So in my opinion, it is just worth to go for something decent instead of just wasting time planning like a perfect route. So again, here is a underground area, so I could also plan for it, but I'm not gonna go for it. Now the second part is pretty much just waiting. So the reason why I am waiting is because I think it's just better to fight all of the monsters at the same time rather than just fighting some of them, then waiting for another explosion, fighting some of them, and so on, especially since I have a headhunter, so I can get a full value of my headhunter stacks this way. So I am waiting a little bit right now. Also in the meantime, I should probably mention that also sometimes you can find the bosses encounters, so they have like a schools on them, and all of the remnants will also affect the bosses. So if you can't handle the bosses, you should probably detonate them pretty early on, and if you want the most amount of rewards, you should try to detonate the quantity of artifacts dropped by monsters remnant, because the bosses drop a lot of artifacts, so that remnant is the best for them. Okay, so let's start now. Let's start clearing. I'm gonna also turn off the loot because there's so much loot sometimes I can't see anything, so it's just easier this way. So as you can see here, quite a lot of loot. I have 11 headhunter stacks right now, so it shouldn't be that hard. And now the monsters cannot be frozen, which is gonna be decently hard for me, and I died. Let's go back in. So my build is actually not the best for this strategy, and I actually was struggling with a lot of bosses, especially the Vorana one, which is the Black Scythe boss, was really hard for me. All of the other ones I actually didn't really struggle that much, but the Vorana one was very hard. So as you can see here, ton of loot. Let's pick all of it up, and most of the loot is just artifacts. So as you can see here, I'm picking up mostly artifacts and a lot of coinages, and the coinages are worth around 6 to 7 C right now per one, and there's a lot of them dropping. I'm gonna pick up all of the loot just so you can see how much stuff actually drops just from one of them. And again, one of these logbooks costs around 0.4 exalts, maybe like half an exalt. And if you want to, you don't want to like look for a lot of logbooks to buy, you can buy the Split Beast, and Split Beast go for around 0.4 exalts. So you can split logbooks into 2 different ones. This way you just will get the extra logbook and you don't have to buy as many of them. And you pay pretty much the same amount. And if you're doing the Knights of the Sun, which go for around 0.6 exalt, it is worth definitely to go for the split, because you are just saving some money. Here is 4 coinages, 7 coinages, so that's like 50 C right there. That's the last part of the logbooks, which is also pretty annoying, which is looting. And here is the side zone, so let's do this one right now. This is the sand one, and here are the zombies which leave the toxic ground, caustic ground on the, well, ground. And they are pretty dangerous, so I am trying to avoid standing in them. So this side zone was pretty bad, so it's not always worth to go for side zone, because like you see here, sometimes they just don't really give that many rewards, but some of them are actually very good. You can get like 6 chests from them, and a lot of monsters. So most of the time it is worth it to go for them. Okay, so now let's look at how many rewards I got. So as you can see here, 17 exotic coinages, 1000 lesser, almost 1000 common, and 500 greater. So just this is probably around like 200 chaos, maybe even more. So just from the artifacts I paid for the logbooks and gained like double the amount of money I invested into this logbook. Okay, so that was the example. It was a pretty long one, but again, logbooks take quite a long time. So now let's look at the profit. So I have 3 separate tabs, one for the Knights of the Sun. So here are all the artifacts. So from 33 logbooks I got 250 medallions, and they go for around 12C right now. I got 1 Impulsa drop, 2 exalts, a decent amount of contracts and blueprints actually. Logbooks drop quite a lot of them, and also the like 15k markers. So pretty good heist rewards. Now let's look at the Scythe one. Pretty much the same amount of coinages and artifacts, and you actually, if you compare them, I got 2.8k ground ones, and here pretty much the same, 15k greater, pretty much the same, and around 30k common and lesser, and here also pretty much the same, and coinages 270 and 250 medallions, so almost the same amount of artifacts. And here I also got 4 exalts instead of 2, and I actually also dropped the Impulsa. And pretty much the same amount of other rewards. Now let's look at the Druids and Order. And I actually from Druid and Order got the most amount of loot overall, since this tab is also part of the rewards. And I got a lot of Astragalis, but you always get more of Astragalis than any other reroll items. And decent amount of artifacts and other rewards. But when you're gonna look at the spreadsheet, you're gonna notice that even though I got the most amount of rewards overall, these rewards are not really worth that much, especially the artifacts. Like the Druids and the Order artifacts are not worth that much, so I actually ended up making the least amount of money from this test, even though I also did 34 instead of 33. Okay, so now let's look at the spreadsheet. So here are the profits. So I did spend on Black Scythe a little bit more than 2000C, and I was buying them for 65C per. For Knights of the Sun 85C per, a little bit more, and for Druid's Order only 45C per, so a little bit less investment. I was again bless orbing the implicits. I did spend around 400, so 320C, and for rolling them with like alchemy, scouring, or chaos orbs, I did spend around 200C. So in exalts I did spend 40 exalts, and it took me 16.5 hours to do the whole test. So for every single one of them, so 33, I did spend 5.5 hours. So here is the first test, so the Knights of the Sun. From all of the random items I got 2.8k, from artifacts 5.6k. So in total I did get 43 exalts, which is 8 exalts per hour. But actually nowadays exalts drop a lot in price. So here I am dividing it by 130, and the exalts used to be 170. So with the old price it would be 6 exalts per hour. With the new price it's 130, so I did get 8 exalts per hour doing Knights of the Sun, which is, to be honest, pretty insane. Now when we look at the Black Scythe, I got a little bit less from the artifacts, but a little bit more from the random drops, and again Black Scythe are a little bit cheaper. So in the end I actually made similar profit, 2 exalts less, but again there's a little bit of RNG. And when I was doing Black Scythes, again I did fail, I believe, like 2 bosses, so they would drop quite a lot of loot if I would kill them, so I would get a little bit more profit. And here is a Druids and Order. So again I did spend the least amount of money on them, but as you can see here, artifacts a little bit less than 2k from artifacts, and again here is almost 6k and here is almost 5k, so much less profit from Druids and order. So even when we include the costs, the less costs, it's still not really worth to go for them. So only 5.8x per hour. And in total, I did make 6.8x per hour, and I did make 112 exalts in 16.5 hours. So if I would go for it again, I would probably just stick to Sun Knights and Black Scythe. And depending on the layouts, because here I was going for Knights of the Sun, even though there was like a bad layout. And here, by the way, I did list all of the layouts and what I think about them. So for me personally, these 4 layouts are the best ones, so I rank them as tier 1. These ones are tier 2, which means that they are not really that much worse than these ones. They are just decent, and they also have some decent rewards, so it doesn't really matter that much. If I would have to choose between Knights of the Sun, like a Volcanic Island, and Black Scythe Dried Riverbed, to be honest, it would be pretty hard choice. Probably Knights of the Sun Volcanic Island would probably be still better, but maybe the implicit would matter a little bit more. And here I actually ranked these ones are not even tier 3, actually like tier 4. So these are basically like so bad layouts, I would just never want to do them. Some of them are just like Mountain Sign are just very big, and Desert Ruins, and they just have a lot of rewards that are just spread around, and you can't really hit all of them. So they just kind of feel empty, and Rotting Temple and Sun Slums just have a lot of dead ends, and they just are annoying to do. So I would just never want to do them. Maybe if I would have like a Knights of the Sun in Southern Ruins and Shipwreck Reef as a Druids of the Order, then I would probably still go for Knights of the Sun. But other than that, if I would have to go for Knights of the Sun, let's say Sun Slums or Black Scythe Scrublands, I would probably go for Black Scythe. So that's gonna be pretty much it. Next league, from what GG said, the artifacts are not gonna be tradable. So if you're gonna want to make profit, I would highly recommend doing just Knights of the Sun and Black Scythe, because Black Scythe are the 2-yen, so gambling one, so you can still just convert artifacts to currency just from buying stuff from him. And Knights of the Sun, you can just convert all of the Dunning artifacts to 2-yen artifacts. So this is gonna be pretty much the only way to make money from the logbooks. Druids and the Order are probably gonna be very cheap, and you're gonna just make profit from other rewards, not the artifacts. So you'll probably just focus on the reward chests and the good remnants. So for example, here like a Scarab remnant. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.